Welcome to The Bottom Line. I'm Pastor Rick Utze from Maranatha in Plain City, Ohio. You know, we're recording this on Ash Wednesday, and as I was thinking of Ash Wednesday and what it means and all of that, there's a verse in the Bible that we're just talking about actually in our Sunday morning services. And it has to do, here it is in Genesis 3:19. It says, "And you will eat bread by the sweat of your brow until you return to the ground, since you were taken from it, for you are dust, and you will return to the dust." And that sounds like a very depressing thing, right? Like, we're going to return to the dust. Like, there is something in the process of our lives now, since sin entered the world, that causes us to deteriorate, and we are going to return to the earth, to the dust from which we were created. We are going to wind down. In some cases, we're going to get a sudden end to that death, as the Bible even talks about, even in the next chapter in Genesis 4. But as I was thinking about that, like, we can't escape it. You know, nobody's going to escape it. And it kind of reminded me when I was learning how to ride, not learning how to ride. I was riding bikes several years ago. I had actually learned when I was a kid, but I was back into cycling several years ago, and I was really starting to do endurance rides for the first time. And I was working up, and I went out with a group of guys who were better than me, faster than me, stronger than me. Like, they had it, right? And so I was fine on the first half of the ride. Like, I was like, oh, I'm not doing too bad. On the way back, we turned around, and I hit a wall. Like, okay, what is going on? I can't go anymore. I slowed way down. One of the guys was kind enough to stay with me. The others went ahead. There was a restaurant several miles ahead. And so I finally made it to the restaurant, right? And the point of this is I just kept getting weaker and weaker, and I could barely go. And a guy was giving me encouragement. Yeah, you can make it to the restaurant. Come on, keep going, you know. And I was trying to ride right behind him in the slipstream to just try and make it there. And so I did. And after that, it was better. But as we go through life, I think we feel that way sometimes, right? And Lent is a time for us to remember that we have to focus on God. We have to focus on something else, that our life isn't just about what's here. We need to get renewed and refreshed inside, right? Because it's kind of a two-way, opposite-going street. Though we may be declining physically, inwardly we can be renewed. And the Bible talks about that if we go to Genesis 4 or 2 Corinthians 4:4-7. And it talks about this. In this case, the God of this age has blinded the minds of unbelievers. Like, there is the ruler, the God of this age is just blinding people to the truth. And that truth, right, is Jesus Christ. It says in verse 6, "For God said, let light shine out of darkness." Hey, so instead of being blind, instead of being in darkness, let the light shine out of darkness. And it shone in our hearts, those who believe, to give light in the knowledge of Jesus, or knowledge of God's glory in the face of Jesus Christ. So Jesus Christ, right, is the one whose light is shining in our hearts now, causing us to be renewed. And so as we think about Lent, and some of you, depending on your denomination, you'll be giving up something, you'll be fasting, or you'll be giving, or you're concentrating on prayer, or it's all three of those things combined. And there's a purpose. It's not just to give up, but it's to cause us not to just look at this life, right? Not just on what's around us, not just what's seen, but live by faith and be renewed in Jesus Christ. And so here's the bottom line. It says in verse 7, "Now we have this treasure in clay jars." Like, it's weak. Like, I was riding my bike, I was weak. This treasure of Jesus Christ, though, is in this clay jar that's weak, right? But he, it says, so that this extraordinary power may be from God and not from us. Like, there's a power that comes from God outside of us, but he lives in us and gives us power. So just like on that bike ride, after I ate, after I drank, after I rested a little bit, we probably had, 10, 15 miles to go. Like, I was better. Like, my strength and energy came back. I was eating and getting nutrition on the right things. I was hungering and thirsting after physical food, and it helped me get along. We need to hunger and thirst after God. And that's what Ash Wednesday, that's what Lent is all about, that we focus and we hunger and thirst after Jesus Christ, who gives us and inner strength to endure and carry on so we can finish the race strongly. That's what God wants us to do. We're His image bearers. Let's finish the race. So have a happy Lent season, and let's focus on Jesus Christ, our glory, right? It's His glory, and we get to participate in. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on The Bottom Line.